23 strangers just decided your fate. You were never told. You were never invited. And you had absolutely no right to defend yourself. This is the grand jury system, and by the time you learn they have been investigating you, it is already too late. Here is what most Americans do not understand about their own justice system. The Fifth Amendment guarantees that no person shall be held for a capital or infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury. Sounds like protection, right? It was designed that way. But here is the twist that changes everything. The grand jury was supposed to protect citizens from government overreach. Instead, it has become the prosecution's most powerful weapon. And the reason why will shock you. Prosecutors have a saying. They could indict a ham sandwich if they wanted to. That is not a joke. That is the reality of a system where the conviction rate for grand jury indictments exceeds 99%. But how did a constitutional protection become a prosecutorial rubber stamp? The grand jury originated in 12th century England under King Henry II. Citizens were gathered to identify criminals in their communities. The concept crossed the Atlantic with the colonists, and our founding fathers embedded it in the Bill of Rights. They believed ordinary citizens would serve as a buffer between government power and individual liberty. For over a century, it worked exactly as intended. Grand juries refused to indict colonists accused of crimes against the British Crown. They rejected politically motivated prosecutions. They were the people's shield. Then something changed. If you are learning something here, that like button genuinely helps the channel. Prosecutors discovered they could control the process entirely. No defense attorney is allowed inside the grand jury room. No judge presides over the proceedings. The prosecutor alone decides what evidence the 23 citizens will see. Now imagine you are the target of a grand jury investigation. Let me put you in that position. Pause twos, you wake up on an ordinary Tuesday morning. You go to work. You come home. You have dinner with your family. Meanwhile, in a courthouse across town, 23 people you have never met are examining your bank records. Your phone calls. Your emails. Witnesses are testifying about conversations you had 5 years ago. And you have no idea any of this is happening. There is no requirement to inform you. There is no opportunity to explain. There is no chance to say, wait, that is not what happened. The grand jury can investigate for up to 18 months before deciding your fate. 18 months of witnesses. 18 months of evidence. 18 months of building a case you cannot see or challenge. The rules inside a grand jury room would make any trial lawyer cringe. Hearsay evidence, which is absolutely forbidden in regular trials, is completely admissible here. A prosecutor can have a police officer testify about what a witness supposedly said without that witness ever appearing. Evidence obtained through questionable searches can be presented. The strict rules that protect defendants in courtrooms simply do not apply. And here is something even prosecutors admit behind closed doors. They can present one-sided narratives without any obligation to show evidence that might clear the accused. They are not required to present exculpatory evidence. The Supreme Court ruled on this in United States v. Williams in 1992. Prosecutors have no duty to tell the grand jury anything that might suggest innocence. Think about that. The people deciding whether to charge you with a crime will never hear your side. But here is what nobody talks about. Music shift, the grand jury does not just affect the accused. It destroys witnesses too. When you receive a grand jury subpoena, you have no right to remain silent the way you would if arrested. You must testify. And if you refuse, you can be held in contempt and jailed until you comply. One man spent 18 months in prison, not for committing any crime, but simply for refusing to testify before a grand jury about someone else. 18 months behind bars without ever being charged with anything. And the secrecy cuts both ways. Witnesses are forbidden from revealing what they said. They cannot warn the target. They cannot discuss what happened with anyone. One witness described it as testifying into a black hole. If you have made it this far, subscribe now so you see how grand juries actually get challenged. You speak, and then you wait. Sometimes for years. So what happens when those 23 citizens finally vote? They need only 12 votes to indict. Not unanimous. Not beyond reasonable doubt. Just probable cause, which is the lowest possible legal standard. Did a crime possibly occur? Might this person have committed it? That is enough. And remember, they have only heard the prosecution's side. The famous ham sandwich quote came from a New York judge named Sol Wackler in 1985. He was making a point about prosecutorial power. Ironically, 8 years later, Wackler himself was indicted by a federal grand jury. He pleaded guilty. Even a judge who understood the system's flaws could not escape it. The question is not whether grand juries indict. The question is whether they can ever say no. And the answer tells you everything about American justice. Here is the revelation that changes everything you thought you knew. SFX, dramatic sound, grand juries were supposed to be the people's protection. Instead, they became the prosecutor's weapon because of one simple design flaw. Secrecy without accountability always corrupts. When no one watches, power expands. When no one challenges, truth becomes whatever the prosecutor says it is. But there is hope in understanding. 3 states, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Hawaii, have abolished grand juries for most cases. They use preliminary hearings instead, where a judge reviews evidence and the defense can participate. The conviction rate in those proceedings is notably lower. Defense attorneys can cross-examine witnesses. They can challenge evidence. They can present their own side. This is what constitutional protection was supposed to look like. The grand jury system is not justice. It is the absence of it. Every day in America, grand juries convene in secret rooms across the country. 23 citizens making decisions that will change lives forever, hearing only one side of every story. The next time you hear someone was indicted, remember what that really means. It means a prosecutor successfully presented their case to people who never heard the defense. It means evidence was shown that might never survive a real trial. It means someone's fate was decided before they ever knew they were accused. The grand jury system reveals an uncomfortable truth about American justice. Sometimes the process designed to protect us becomes the very thing we need protection from. Now you understand what happens behind those closed doors. And that knowledge changes everything. Now you understand how 23 citizens can secretly decide your fate before you even know you are accused. Subscribe for more courtroom breakdowns where justice is examined, not just assumed.